administrations are Salvador, for example. Policy for the throwing $1 billion in funding increases for schools, but that spending doesn't do anything. Decreases class size, but won't fix the education system. So says Molly Macek. Doctor, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So this is always the solution from the left. Throw money at it. We'll just throw money at it, but it doesn't get the job done. Doesn't change the dynamics, does it?
That's right. Not at all. Yeah, this is
throw money at it, but it. All right. So Molly Macek decreases class size, but $1 billion in funding increases for. Let's shift to Dr. Molly Macek, Director of Education Policy for the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. We'll get back to that in a moment. Let's shift to Dr. Molly Macek, Director of Education Policy for the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. Michigan Democrats considering throwing $1 billion in funding increases for schools, but that spending doesn't do anything. Decreases class size, but won't fix the education system. So says Molly Macek. Doctor, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So this is always the solution from the left. Throw money at it. We'll just throw money at it, but it doesn't get the job done. Doesn't change the dynamics, does it?
That's right. Not at all. Yeah, this has been an ongoing trend, something that we can expect from them, that the idea that increasing funding will somehow improve results, but they've been following the same pattern for as long as we can remember. And if we look at the trends, with increased funding, we have either stagnant or declining school performance across the state. So it's not working.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Class size is important. So how do they think that spending money is going to change class size? I mean, class sizes of 25 are optimum, but a lot of times you get to 30 or more. It does make it more challenging for a teacher, especially if there's one teacher in a classroom in elementary and middle school. So how do you reduce class sizes? What's the real plan?
Well, in the Senate proposal, they would allow schools to use up to 30% of their at-risk funding to lower class sizes in grades from kindergarten through third grade. So that's the idea, and so that funding would have to go to recruiting and hiring new teachers, which in and of itself is a major challenge, because not just financially, it's a very expensive task to be able to hire enough teachers to accommodate smaller class sizes. But we are already dealing with this alleged teacher shortage across the state. So trying to increase those numbers.
Hold on there. You said alleged teacher shortage. Do we not have a teacher? Do we or do we not have a teacher shortage, Doctor?
Well, we have, if you look at the student to teacher ratio in Michigan, it's the average, student to teacher ratio. It's 14 students per teacher. So, again, that's the average number. Some classrooms have more, some have less. So
man, if you had 14 kids in the classroom, you'd be in great shape. But go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So if that's the average, that means we do have classes that are smaller than that and some that are larger. But on average, that seems to call into question, do we really have not enough teachers serving our students, or how are they being distributed? Are there other ways that we could distribute our current faculty, our current staff members across the state to better accommodate the class size needs?
Yeah. What would your plan be? How do we improve education? I mean, obviously, throwing money at it seems to be the standard fix for Democrats that never gets the job done. So that brings me to, how do we fix it? How do you fix education? Not just in Michigan, in this country.
Yeah, obviously, it's a huge challenge, and there's not one clear answer to that. But we know that simply throwing money at it's not going to cut it. But we do know that teachers are very important. So it's one thing to try to hire more teachers, but what's most important is to make sure that the teachers in the classrooms are as effective as possible, that they're using the evidence-based instructional practices that actually make a difference in student learning. So what the focus should be on is how well are our current teachers doing to improve student learning, and then implementing measures that will help them to improve, and to make sure that those teachers that we are recruiting and retaining are the ones that are of the highest quality, that are using the best practices. So through improved teacher evaluations, a better evaluation system, making sure that personnel policies are tied to teacher performance, so that instead of relying on teacher seniority, or, how long they've been in a particular classroom, making sure that the teachers that we are retaining or hiring are of the best quality, regardless of how many years of experience that they have.
Yeah.
So those would be some of the main priorities we'd want to focus on. Unfortunately, the legislature just in 2023 repealed some of these really important accountability measures that were in place to help improve teacher quality and make sure that we have the best teachers in place. So it's even more challenging today because those laws were repealed.
Yeah. Tougher every day. And it's never, we were talking about this earlier in the program today. When the unions come out, they never talk about the students. They talk about their rank and file and how the benefits are and how much money they get paid. They never talk about education or kids, these unions that control almost all of the education in America today. That's probably another part of the problem for another day, though. Dr. Molly Macek, greatly appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
There you have it. We haven't solved that problem yet. And throwing money at